Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next edition of the Bravo Zulu live stream series. Delighted today, coming straight to you from our latest product launch. We've just launched like 6 minutes ago. Critical alerts, live location, mobile app inbox, huge update. So if you're watching, maybe actually we'll get a link for it to you in the comments. But it's just gone out in our blog. It's just gone out as an email update to people. Large release and launch there, so you can enjoy those features. We might see if we can talk about some of it on the end of this video. There's the link. So this is live. We are streaming. We are streaming all over the world. It is just coming up to 11 a.m. in New Zealand. Just coming up on 9 a.m. in New South Wales, Australia. We're hitting mid-afternoon Pacific and evening time East Coast US. This is completely live. If you'd like to comment in here, just comment wherever you're watching. You can comment on LinkedIn, you can comment on Facebook, you can comment on YouTube. They all come in here. And in the background today is Amy, who is pulling all the levers. She's able to put your comments up on the screen. And my guest and myself tonight will answer any comments that come in. We try and get everything. Okay, so without further ado, let's meet the guest. So tonight, or today, or this morning, I'm talking to Merrick Brown. Merrick is the Emergency Management Director in the City of Medicine Hat. Hey, Merrick.
Hi there, Robin.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Let's just fill people in of where in the world Medicine Hat is. Maybe we can bring up a map. Oh, perfect. Look at this. So you guys, Canada, Alberta, anyone familiar with the area? Tell us about the area, Merrick. What, and mainly from an emergency management perspective, what are you dealing with?
So we're about, I would say, 100 kilometers from the U.S. border. So we're deep South Canada. So we're actually what's called the sunniest city in Canada. So lots of solar farms around here, lots of wind farms, but we also get lots of prairie, lots of tornadoes. So lots of natural disasters, we'll say. One thing that we don't obviously get is the forest fires that you typically see in Canada. That would probably be, we'll say, 800 kilometers to 1,000 kilometers north of us. So there's a pretty stark difference when you see northern Alberta to southern Alberta. So yeah, but it's a great place to live, but the weather can be violent at times.
Yeah. How cold does it get in winter?
Oh, it's we'll talk about Celsius here, but we're talking minus 45, even though we're right almost butted up to the U.S. border. You think that we'd be a little bit warmer, but we can easily change from plus 40 degrees Celsius to minus 45 degrees Celsius within a matter of months, and so we're accustomed to sweating in the heat but freezing in the cold.
And is that the flat land, the prairies, or is that kind of, yeah?
Yeah, it's the prairies. I mean, we obviously get quite a bit of grass fires and things like that. Like, I mean, people in Australia and things like that would be very familiar with this. So it's an equivalent type of landscape to that, right? And so grass fires move extremely fast around here. But yeah, you got the photo up there. We got a pretty mean river that comes around here. So that's one thing actually that we're building into D4H right now and that's one thing that really attracted us to D4H actually is pre-build incidents in this, especially when it comes to flood planning. It's a fairly predictable event, and we've itemized all of our tasks down to 3 days of work. And so you can upload that thing right in there, and you almost just have a plan right in there. So that's actually the first thing that somewhat attracted us to the process. So,
Very nice.
but yeah, just to kind of play into some of our hazards that we experience.
We met first, I think, through Alberta All Hazards IMT.
Yeah, so Medicine Hat. So in the province of Alberta, we have a bunch of incident management teams across, and so there's federal teams, there's provincial teams, and
Mhm.
Medicine Hat runs what's called the South Zone All Hazard Incident Management Team. So we have about 50 or 60 people on it. So right down from like the mountainsides all the way to kind of the border of Saskatchewan. We run that team for the south, but we use the other product that D4H has, which
Mhm.
is the team manager aspect of
Yep.
it. So that's yeah. So bridging on that, we got we like D4H, so let's see what else they have.
Nice.
So
I
incident
always
management is
like
what
that
we
story.
where we got.
Very good. And so you guys, yeah, I mean, before I even get into that D4H, I'm kind of interested to hear about so Medicine Hat, your role, your team. What you've talked a little bit about the hazards there, just the geographic position of it. What's normal for you guys? I always ask people, what's your once a month, once a year, once a career? Where does that fit in Medicine Hat?
Yeah, so it's obviously increasing in frequency. So from we'll say 2010 to 2015, we were hitting it every year with floods between
Yep.
2011, 2012, all the way probably up to 2014. That was kind of our focus, but then we had a bit of a break there. But now we're seeing, post 2017, it's at least annually that we have a bit of a wreck, we'll say, whether it be big windstorms,
Hmm.
tornadoes. We've been using, like, within, even internally within the organization, emergency management is actually utilized for quite a few other things other than just like disasters. So when you
Yep.
start thinking about like business continuity and cybersecurity, crisis management, all of
Hmm.
those things where we are looked towards as a bit of a, well, the glue, so the glue that can hold the organization together. So much from a crisis leadership perspective, and so that's why we look into like we're starting to use this more and more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I often I describe to people not from the industry how the trends we see. Well, so the first thing is climate change is
Hmm.
just driving a massive amount of compounding incidents where the after action review is not even finished and the next one's hitting,
Yeah.
and so this compounding effect is one of the biggest pieces because you're not wrapped up the last incident and they're compounding. So that's one of the big drivers. But people also aren't familiar with a lot of the space started in the disaster space. So the really big incident and emergency management side of this is a disaster. And actually, it turns out that this functions really useful all the way down to small scale incidents and pre-planned events and everything else that's going on. It's a um, yeah, I mean, the function of emergency management and emergency managers and running things as an incident is very valuable.
Yeah. Well, and I think even, just talking about some of the unique aspects that we have is so as a municipality, um, we're fairly self-sufficient when it comes to our infrastructure. So that's both a bit of a blessing, but it can be make my job that much more difficult. So we supply our own gas. In fact, we drill for our own gas. We distribute our own gas. We sell our own gas. We
The
make
city,
our own. We make our own power.
wow,
So we run a power plant. We run all of our electrical infrastructure. We have an airport. So it becomes bigger and bigger. So when we talk about incidents, which other communities may not experience as an incident because it's not necessarily their
hmm,
infrastructure, it's our infrastructure. So when we start thinking about windstorms, it's not a matter of just a third party electrical provider that's out there that's putting up power poles based on a windstorm. That's us. Like
hmm,
it's our people that are out there at 3 o'clock in the morning with power lines that are down. And so yeah, it's just we're more active, we'll say, um,
yeah,
within
yeah,
this.
hugely. How big's your team in emergency management?
It's surprisingly it's just me. We're bringing on another person here right away, just because I think I said it, like the scope is growing that much more. But we have a great support here as well. I think because we've been impacted so many times, and I'm just speaking for ourselves. I know a lot of people, or a lot of communities in Western Canada have been impacted so much that we've bred a bit of a preparedness culture internally, and so
Mm,
when I say it's just me, I got to take that with a bit of a grain of salt, because I've got a whole team of, let's say, 100 people behind me that work for the organization, but we can pull them in whenever they need, and our organization allows it. Our executives allow that because we do have that culture of preparedness here. So I'm not alone. Let's just say that.
very good. When you sort of put your EOC together, what scale does that get to? And just for people who might not be from emergency management, we'd have a lot of people even in private sector who'd be watching this. What kind of functions from the city come into the EOC?
And that's actually where it's a little bit different in well, I'm going to say more specifically in medicine at, and so even terminology, like we don't run EOCs here. We use traditional, in fact we're required to use just traditional ICS, incident command system, and so we run ICPs, and so we won't run an
Okay.
EOC. I mean, we will, but it could just be one person or two people that is
Mm-hmm.
that kind of that liaison between our elected officials and the incident commander, and so that's where my job traditionally fits.
Mm.
But you could easily interchange those words, right? ICP and EOC. And so in our ICP, we'll fully staff it. So we're talking information officer, safety officer, we'll run operations under there. All of our, we have internal logistics section, finance section. So we basically train everybody to do this job on the side of their desk in the event
Yep.
that they need it. But when we do open up our ICP, that's when we bring everybody in. D4H is definitely helps for that, because we've come to the conclusion over the past number of years, just from activating so much, that our goal with this needs to make it as easy as possible for operations to function.
Mm.
And so take all that noise away from them, and we can give them the tools to be able to do their job the best that they can. So my job as the director of emergency management is to give operations those tools so that they can function very well. D4H would have been one of those tools on top of another one, other ones that we do. But we're very much focused on making it as easy as possible for operations to
Mm.
function.
And that makes complete sense. And then you're not needed in person either, hopefully, right? That it's
Yep,
a
that's right. Yeah, we want
self-sustaining
to.
piece. The reminder for anyone watching this live stream, you're welcome to comment on here. So if you're watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or anywhere else you've picked up this stream, you can just reply in the comments to the video, and they come up here on screen for us. If you've got any questions for Merrick, delighted to take them. So if it works for you, Merrick, I'm kind of interested to people. It's a unique person to chat to, because you're kind of just at your first year of D4H, and it'd be interesting to tell people how that's been and what the experience was, and maybe we can go back to the implementation. I think you did that with Marie. She told me you were super users very quickly, so maybe you could talk about that.
Sure. The way that I personally operate is that when we implement software in the organization, it has to be functional. So you have to have a system in place before you
Mhm.
implement the software. Software is great, but if you don't have a process in the background, your software is essentially useless,
Yeah.
right? And so we with D4H, we were able to basically and put it into 4-H. And so I'd love to be able to show you some of the stuff here on how we're able to do that. And we were also able to develop our well, within our emergency operations plan, essentially somebody can open up that document and go, this is how I'm going to use D4H within my role, whether it be within operations, if you're a supply unit leader within logistics. We've even got some stuff for the liaison officer that we built within D4H. We want to really be able to use that system as perhaps even more bigger than what it was actually designed for,
Mm.
because just the usability of it and the functionality of it allows an organization to be able to do that. And so the possibilities are endless with the system.
It's interesting you say that. We get that all the time. It's actually speaking with a hospital, and they'll know who they are if they're watching. Um, who've started bringing their D4H product into all aspects of
Mhm.
the day to day operations because they just found it a really good fit for that.
That has been discussed here,
Mm, yeah.
just from a standard operational piece,
Mhm.
and I appreciate that, because the way that it was explained to me from one of our departments is essentially what you're saying is if they can use it from an operational standpoint, it's really easy to flip it over into an incident, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
because you're still using your common processes.
Yeah. Exactly. So I remember to just to reflect on what you're saying there about your process. I remember saying to people when you guys started with us, I remember commenting those guys were really good purchasers. You guys were really good purchasers, and it you knew exactly what you were looking for. It was very clean, and you move very fast. I remember thinking these guys are good. If people are good, I always find if people are good purchasers, they're good operators.
Yeah, it's if do you want me to share my screen here
That'd
with
be
you on?
amazing if you
Yeah,
can.
it's I'm excited to be able to show this off a little bit. I just started up a new incident and it's just called live stream. I intentionally actually left it blank just because
Yeah, great.
it'd be kind of neat to show a few things here. So I'm just going to share my screen here
And you'll have
and
a
I'll
lot
be
of
going
interested
through this.
people in this. So because
Yeah.
everyone's always
So I
clambering to get ideas of what to do.
I just want to make sure, Robin, are you able to see my screen there?
We are, but maybe Amy can make it a bit bigger. Can you put it full width, Amy? Even or what about us at the bottom? Would that might fit? Yeah, that's probably good. Yeah, and Merrick, if you maybe that might be the size of your screen, but if you're able to make it any taller, the window we're looking at, we'll see even more.
Uh, I might
If,
actually
if not, we're good.
let me just try something different here. I'm just gonna try. Got a couple of different options here.
So, everyone watching, you're going to get a great live insight here into how the city have configured up their D4H account. That's perfect. Um, so, if you've got any questions for Merrick about this and how they've configured or what they've built, please do just type them in the comments wherever you're watching, and they'll come up here on the screen in front of us. Okay, Merrick, we can see the whole desktop now, I think.
Okay, perfect. I think everybody's always interested in, the status boards. So we're gonna drop down to that here in a moment. But I actually wanted to start right at the situation report here because I think that's, everybody has their own situation report here. This is something that is a bit of a work in progress here.
Hmm.
Um, but as I had said, so here, I'm just gonna get this one out of here. So when we started looking for a product, we had a couple of objectives in mind, but the primary objectives is essentially what I was saying at the beginning of this live stream, and we have so much different infrastructure. And so when we start looking at, a power plant and, water treatment plant and our electrical distribution infrastructure and our airport and, all of these different things. And so when you start looking at, a traditional EOC where you have an incident and you bring people to that building and you work from that building. That doesn't work for us.
Mm.
And the reason for that is because there's so much technology behind those operations that we can't, that would be it would not, would not work in the favor of operations for us to work together in that one area. And in fact, there's a reason why we don't use EOCs in Medicine Hat is because we go to the incident. So our incident management team will go to the incident. We don't have those operations come to the EOC. So we're completely mobile. So we
Mhm.
have mobile incident command post. So we basically pull up, and it might be at our utility distribution systems building where we basically take over half that building and set up that incident command post. Because we want to make it as easy as possible for operations. So we don't want operations to come to us. We're going to go to operations. So we can go anywhere that we want and
Yeah.
take over any kind of building that we want. And so that's just the way that we operate here. The second aspect, and that's a bit of a tag along to this, is they have to operate where they're most comfortable. So that require us now to have some type of a system to be able to link all those operations together
Mhm.
virtually, and D4H does a great job for it. So if I were to go down to situation here, and one of the first things that we actually did is meetings and briefings here. So we use, traditional incident command systems. We train people in it, so therefore we're going to use it. We're going to use terminology, various things like that. So we actually, because we're going to have all of our meetings and various things like that. So this is one of the first things that we built. We say, okay, this is going to be a tactics meeting, or this is going to be a
Mhm.
strategy meeting. Then we can list out here what are all those upcoming meetings and briefings, date and time. We can put the required attendees in here, and then we can put the meeting link, various things like that. And so here we go. We're using this as it's intended to be, and easy as possible for operations. And so we can have a bunch of other stuff. This looks pretty
Okay, can I
similar
ask
here.
a question there? What
Sure.
what would the interest be in that online meeting link generating automatically if it scheduled a Teams call at that time?
So sorry, can you repeat that, Robin?
So what if the online meeting link was automatically generated if it scheduled a Teams call automatically at that time?
If it so we actually have to copy and paste that meeting link in there.
Yeah. Would it
So
be useful if it did it automatically?
yep,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. So this is one of the kind of like it would probably end up being a menu item on the left, but it would be like incident schedule or something along those lines. Which in there you can add like or meeting. You could call it meetings, but it is effectively a set of like a cadence of meetings that you
Yep,
can
yep.
preload in, and then what we're looking at is can we actually schedule the Teams call and invite the attendees based on the roles and teams in here. That's what we were
Yeah, there's
wondering.
a lot. Yeah, that would be great to be able to do this, because that's actually one of the difficulties that we have is just,
Hmm.
getting together and having that discussion at that predetermined time. But if we can, blast that out and get that to them,
Yeah.
again, if it's easy for them, we're gonna make it work. So yeah, if we can get that, that would be fantastic.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll just look at forms. I know forms can be a little bit boring, but these are just something. Oops, jeez, I just not using my mouse here. These are just things that we did here. This is another one right here. There's not an actual form for this, but we decided to develop it. So all of those meetings right there. So we talked about like you know, uh, incident briefing or planning meeting or a strategy meeting. So I'll just
Hmm.
click on planning meeting here. So we actually built a meeting template for form so that who's ever running this meeting can go, okay, this is what each one of those have to do. So I think we've probably all seen you get those quick guides that said this is what should be in a meeting. The operations section talks
Yeah.
about this and various things like that. So we just built that directly in there for them so
Okay.
that that meeting schedule is already scripted for them. So they basically just have to open up that meeting template, and they already know who talks about what.
Mm.
Let's go to operations work assignment. So this is now getting into kind of our first set of tasks here. And so we have operations work assignments and then resource requests. And I've already put this in here. So I talked about flood. So we have what's called a property protection branch, and then we have an evacuation branch. So these are just two examples. This is pretty robust as to what we did. And we built a fairly large task board here for the operational personnel so that they can plan their workout and so that everybody knows exactly where everybody's working, plans
Mm.
to work, is currently working, but also we use this as a bit of a tool for the people that are going to be actually doing that job. So if we look at like installing a flood wall, this person who is filling this out, let's call it the branch director, the property protection branch director. They could go, well, I'm going to plan this. They could build a list of tasks. It could be Lions Park, or install muscle wall, or deploy pumps wherever. They can go in there and they can plan all of this out. They're going to go, this is what time I want this to start at. This is what time I want this to complete. These are your instructions. This is the personnel. If you have any special instructions, this is where it's at. We even went to the point where if we have procedures, if we have a procedure to set up that flood wall, we can go in here and we can go, this is the procedure, and then we can, upload a file right there
Very nice. Yeah.
that when this person comes in to do this job, it's essentially it's a job plan for them. So that
Mhm.
their supervisor has given them a job to do. Even work location, we built some conditional formatting in here. So if it's
I was about to ask that. Does that show another field? Yeah,
yes,
very
it
nice.
does. So you'll see right here,
Yeah,
general
yeah.
area, specific
Very
location,
good.
and then if it's mobile, it's just nothing. We're not gonna make them because you're basically just gonna draw a big circle around the city.
Yeah.
But if this is a general area,
Can you
then they
show
can
that
go
off?
in
Yeah.
there.
I warned everyone you were super users. There we go.
So this is that general area. So they may say, oh, they're gonna work
Hmm.
here, right? So then they can save it. Oh, that's their work location. But then if it's a specific location, they drop a pin right there. That's where it's going to
Yeah.
be.
And can you just show for people if you go hit map on the left now, that should be there as a layer, right?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
So there
everyone.
we
Yeah.
go.
There
Install
you
Lions Park flood wall right there.
go.
So
Nice.
if you go into operations work assignment, let's say you've got 10 of these now, or 10 of these under Lions Park flood wall, and somebody goes into the map then and they can go, okay, I know where everybody's working. So you have that. It's essentially why we're using this process is so that we don't step over each other and we can understand where the resources are and maybe
Mhm.
share resources a little bit better because oh they've got a picker over here. I need that picker.
Oh, makes complete sense.
I'm going to go back in here and just show you the rest of it here because it's actually quite interesting. And so it now gives the that director to basically go now who is going to do this job. So they put the name, they put their shift start, their shift end. So we're giving them that opportunity to plan that work. What I would actually like to see, and I've talked to your team about this, is to have the ability to have multiple people in here. Because in
Mhm.
reality, a supervisor or a director might plan, okay, I'm gonna have, a person available for 12 hours to be able to do this job or whatever it may, or this install Lions Park flood wall might actually take 24 hours to do. Well, this one supervisor can't do this in 24 hours. They can't stay up for 24 hours. So we want to have two or even three people to be able to do that so that that director can go, okay, I've got John that's scheduled from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. I've got Joe that's scheduled from
What if you change
2.
it to a table field? Would that solve it?
We've tried that and it
Yeah.
only allows the first person to go in there and then
Oh,
actually
you
start
can't
it
do a
and
relate. It's a
go.
relationship field, is it? That's
Yeah, it's the
yeah.
positions
That won't work in the
relationship.
table. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we may actually have two Lions Park supervisors, but
I'm surprised you can't have multiple there, but
and
yeah.
maybe we can,
But
maybe we
if you
can.
just type in, that's a role there, is it? So if you type in, yeah, it's not going to do rows, but I guess you can put multiple people in that box, though, can you?
Um, yeah, you know what? Even if we did it like a table, we probably could, like rows where you add additional rows
Yeah,
down
that's what I'm
here.
thinking.
That we may be able to do, yeah.
I think that you can't use a relationship field in a table at the moment. Is what I think. That might be a limitation. It might be the issue. You don't have a drop down, but okay, great. Yeah, it makes sense. I'm listening for
Yeah,
sure.
no, and this is all good. This is all good stuff. And so this is now where that supervisor takes that work, and now this is all this stuff is now they're doing this on their phone.
Hmm.
So now this is when their mobile app comes in. So the kind of the director's doing this. He's getting the work planned. Got to install the Lions Park flood wall. I got to get this done tomorrow. He might be sitting there at 8 o'clock at night planning the work for the next day. But then now, bam, here we are. We're actually now going to do the work. So that supervisor is going to go up here and they're going to start the work. So
Hmm.
they're now going to say it's in progress. So now they're actually working this. They're going to go in there. They're going to get in here. We're going to say contractor involvement. Let's going to say yes, we are using
Oh,
contractors.
very good.
So now we have more conditional formatting. I got my site contact name, estimated cost. We even did this with volunteers. Do we have any volunteers? Yes. Okay. Is it a public? Yes, it is. What is the volunteer organization? Organization name. So this is our database, our working database. That director may want some updates. So he may say to, that supervisor, give me an update. So, okay, update. We're going to go this progress status. We're on track, at risk, off track. What's our progress? Send a photo. That director is going to go, great. Even work
Very good.
assignments, the records, we got, what's a record type? If that contractor gives us an invoice, there we go. We're going to type invoice in there, and that supervisor is going to take a photo of that invoice, and it just gets uploaded right into there. And then we've got some completion things. So it's basically cradle to grave here for us. Like I said, we want to make this as easy as possible for operations while still maintaining that common operating picture. So we built our tasks very, very deep. Yeah, so that we can really use D4H in a functional capacity for our operations. That's where we really built it, is the boots on the ground people.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Yeah, and then yeah, let's say it's complete, and then it turns green on the map. We'll say it's complete. One thing actually that I will
So
mention,
there's
right?
a comment in there, Amy, from Christine. Might be worth at this point. The question there, Merrick. Or maybe you don't know if you can. You probably can't see our screen. Sorry,
I
Christine from Cochrane. Did you load the Ames extension pack?
No, I didn't even know when was available.
Ah, okay.
So I
We'll
think
send
that's
that
what
over to you.
Christine's talking about. I think I know what Christine's talking here about. So that's one thing that we use here in Alberta is Ames.
Mhm.
So
Yep, the
I know
Alberta Incident Management System. Is that right?
Yep, yep.
Yep.
It's the
So
Alberta.
there's an
It's
extension.
equivalent to NIMS.
There's an extension pack for that. And actually, so just to explain to people, if I was going to say on your screen, there's um, if you go back to your D4H, if anyone knows Merrick like Christine, you can say, "Hey, Merrick, can I have a copy of your operations work assignments?" And he can just create an extension pack with that in it and email the file to you, and you're away. So maybe you can swap some packs with people.
Yeah, I think that's
The
actually we took a couple of packs. Even I think the resource request and the damage we took a pack like an extension pack from somebody. Yeah, and then we'll move to like resource requests, and again, it's not too. it's kind of the same thing as to how we built the work assignment. It's very detailed. Somebody goes in there, could do it on their phone. What's the order? What's the order date and time? What do I need? So they put description in here. What's my priority? I need this urgently. And even we love the maps. Where do I need it delivered? Okay, I need it delivered right here so that, somebody's phoning up a contractor, they can go,
Mhm.
this is exactly where that thing needs to be delivered.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, then we go down to logistics has a section. They're going to go in here. This is who we ordered it from. This is the payment method. Then we can, upload a copy of the PO or invoice or whatever it may be. We went all in for D4H with even all
Yeah,
of our
I like
records
it.
management.
What does the screen look like? The list view of all of those on
For
resource
these
requests.
ones,
If you click resource requests on the left, like where you see all of them, what kind of grid? Yeah, if you double click into one, into a list.
I don't even think, yeah, they just have
Oh
these
yeah,
pulled
okay, yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The no, that's really good. And then this flows back to your dashboard too, right? Then with completion
Yep.
rates.
Yep. Yep. So it falls back into our, yeah, into our
Dashboard. Yeah,
dashboard. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
If I were to have this completely built up, you'd be able to
yeah,
see
yeah.
all that. Because then we go, oh yeah, we're so somebody can actually go in here. Where's my order even sitting, right? They can go that somebody's looked at it, they're processing it, or
Hmm.
we've completed it, it's done. We can take it off the list.
Yeah, awesome.
Then these are some other things. Actually, check-in and demobilization. Here's one we actually built this in. Here's the agency check. We even put in there is orientation provided. What's their incident assignment? This one right here, I think, is pretty common. You're starting to see from all your users. We're getting rid of our contact lists. We're getting rid of the binders and all of our pages of where our facilities are
Hmm.
because we're keeping them in here now.
Yeah, ideal.
So, yeah, so if we actually go in here, I can go, let's go in here and I can, you know, we're going to say that we're going to use this facility. So now we put it in here. We know how many people it can house. We know the facility amenities. I can even go in here and I'll maybe just add a blank one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can show you what it actually looks like. We actually take photos of the facility so that when we're looking for a good facility or somebody's
Hmm.
looking for a good facility, they can actually look at a photo of the facility and go, that I think that'll fit what we need for this request that we have.
Yeah, awesome. So
Yeah,
to talk a little
contact
bit about
details.
our roadmap on that, what's coming here is we want you to be able to access these boards outside of an incident, so you
Yep.
can just browse through this content in a sort of monitoring day-to-day role, planning role, without actually having to start an incident.
Yeah, that's where we're looking forward to that because yeah, this is now our appendices in our municipal emergency management plan that are essentially going to be built into D4H. Same with external agencies. That's what we've done is, we can add all of these external agencies. We've already got them built in, but I'll just maybe add a blank one here so you can see it here. So if we go in here, I go to add a blank and we can. Again, we've got our primary contacts, and this is actually our log for our liaison officer. So whenever they make contact with a person, we can talk about what we talked about, so that there's no crossover in communication. So somebody can go in here and go, who's the contact for that agency, and what have we talked about? So, and we just keep building and building and building these things. Lodging, we've got, we're starting to build in all of our hotels in here, what the capacity is, what the direct contact is. It just keeps going and going. You can see here we're getting rid of all of our paper and building it right into D4H.
Hmm. Very good. Very good. Well, that's amazing that you've been able to share that with you. I know if people have any questions on that, I know that'll be much sought after video. That people interested to see how people build it. And as I said at the start, I think you can really see how you guys are power users. You've used every piece of it. What could we build for you if there was anything we could build? Like people like hearing these things, like the negatives as well. So like be honest and like what's annoying and what should we change or what should we add?
So our biggest one, our biggest ask, we'll say, and it comes somewhat down to what I was talking about, like planning for who's going to be a supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
We would like to see a now and a tomorrow option. And I know
Mm-hmm.
that seems a little bit odd, but even their
No, no.
situation report, like we want to almost have a situation report somewhat sitting in the background. So when we've done our incident action plan, we've got our objectives. We're developing that, 4, 6 hours before we're actually giving that direction. And but within this, it's the now. And so
Mm.
if we're planning, it could be the middle of the night and we're planning on what we're going to do for tomorrow, we want to actually do that in D4H. But right now we're doing it on a form and then transferring it over to this. Similar
It,
to operations work assignments, I want to be able
okay.
to have our supervisors plan for tomorrow.
So
While
is that the
still,
situation, or like so we see people doing that with folders quite often, like operational
yeah,
period one, operational period two.
and that's what we do. We do it in forms and then we have a folder here. But even operations work assignments. So it would probably be good, like if you look at these ones, if you look at property protection right here, I think we dropped a pin. And if I go down into the map, this is technically completed.
We
I want
might
to be able to
you can bring it
remove
back up
that
there. All right.
from the map.
Say again. Sorry. Show us again. We're just back on.
Yeah, so this is our operation work assignment that we just
Yep.
went through. So that install Lions Park flood wall, so it's green, so technically it's completed. But I don't necessarily want to archive it because I want to show that that's completed. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to have an option to state that this is either um, work that's going to be planned but not show it on the map
Okay.
because everything right now is going to show on the map. I don't have the option of taking out what we're going to plan for tomorrow versus what is
Gotcha.
happening now.
So that matches. GP sent me a couple of features that you've requested before this, and it was filter the map based on the fields of a modular task board.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if this is a planned operation, like if
Mm-hmm.
I go into Lions Park floodwall and it's planned, right now, if I go back on the map, it's gonna show up. It's gonna create a lot of noise for people, and it's
Yeah.
gonna the map gets very, very busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be able to filter those fields from the map,
Yeah. Makes
if that
sense.
makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I'm wondering, is that a saved view or something like that? Of how we do that. Um, I think at the moment it'll do that in. You probably can't in a task board, but if you went to your into your facilities, for example, and then open the map on the right here. I just want to see if this matches. So the
Uh,
top right corner of the map pin. Sorry, I'm back on that screen on the ESS screen.
oh yeah, sorry, yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
and
about.
then open the right hand side map, top right
Yeah,
corner.
right there. Yeah.
And is that layer turned on? Just checking the 2 of 8 is ESS on. Yep. And so if you zoom out, you should see those, or maybe those facilities have pins. Yeah, there we go. No,
Oh,
the co-op is that on the map, or maybe just in your new
it
ESS
may
facility.
not. We might not have. We're just
Yeah.
building this out, so it may not
Don't,
actually be on
if
there.
you go into the new one where it says new ESS facility, just drop in any location on that location field.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where. And then go back to the list of them. Actually, set the
Yep.
facility control or something just we can filter on. So what's in facility control? in that field.
Sorry, that would be like if we own that building
Yeah, perfect.
or
So
somebody else owns it.
let's put that to City of Medicine Hat. Okay, and then go back to the main list of ESS facilities. So I'm just interested if the map updates this now. So if you go filters at the top, yeah, and then custom, and just put filter by field name, and then pick the control, facility control is City of Medicine Hat.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
that I think
So
that
something
does
I learned something new.
Yeah. So I think that would only show now. It should only show. Yeah, change the ESS facility on that.
Yep.
You should be able to press edit on the screen we're on. The little pencil on the right hand side of the other yeah. Change the control there from to private.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't drop off the map though. I wonder
No,
if
it didn't.
you
No.
come back to the board, just click away from that board onto another board and then go back to that board. Just see if it was no. Okay, it should. That's how that should behave. So someone watching this on our team will document that. But that's what I expected there was that. But that's what you're kind of looking for, right? Is
Yeah.
the ability to
Yeah.
filter the view down. So it's filtered the
Yeah.
list, but not the map. That's a good one to find. And if you haven't seen those views in the admin area in templates, you can save views. And so under filters, you get a drop down. Then you'll see a drop down of all your saved views, and you can pick different default views, and you can filter it to like only show my items, which are things assigned to you or your role and stuff by default. It's quite nice. You can build like nice workflows with that. That works very well. We've a couple of comments in that we'll try and hit up here as well. We've covered Chris's one. Or maybe we've covered them all, I think. Can you filter the main map by time frame? No. Timeline's a good one. And that's, I guess, where America is going with that, the ability to control what you're seeing on the map. And so picking within a date range where this date field is before or after this or in between this, like active from. We know we need to do that. We've got a timeline coming to the map under a work stream for weather. So you will get weather data on the map, like radar and stuff like that, and you'll be able to move a timeline. And that may be that same timeline that we show and hide data based on. But we know we've lots of work to do there for sure. On a mapping front, we've just enabled live locations today, actually just before this call. So the Android app is just waiting approval still, but the Android app is just waiting approval, but the iOS, the Apple app, is live for people. And actually, I'll bring my screen up here just so people see this. This is a nice one. This is just on our blog. This should come up on here. So this is just what went out before the call. And you'll see there's this new live location sharing option on the app. When you hit this, your user will appear straight away on the map as you hit share my location for 15 minutes, an hour, 8 hours, whatever you want. And you appear on the incident map in real time. It'll track your device. So brand new feature. It's in beta. We've lots more functionality coming to that. The advanced pieces will probably be a paid add-on, but there'll be lots included in that basic version for free for people. So that is there. And you'll see there's lots of other stuff we've announced today around alerting. If anyone's spotted on Merrick's screen, there's a new inbox icon on the top right, and this brings up a much better notifications manager where you can mark them as red and see past alerts. New inbox in the mobile app for all your mentions and everything else as well, and alerts to come through. So lots has just gone out there today. And the other one we talked about was the AIMS extension pack, and I think there'll be a link will go in the chat to everybody for that if you want to download it. But you can go in here and download this extension pack. and it'll give you all the ICS forms for the Alberta Incident Management System. It's all there. Merrick, we've talked a little bit about features there. I don't know if there's any other key ones you'd like to bring up. I did get a couple from GP that you were looking for, but I think you covered the multiple rosters and roles. We can talk to that and say we've got a spec coming together on that's the best way to put it, which is starting with the roles where you can start having the next period, and start mapping out a roster within an incident. So that is something we've looked at. If people have got any feedback on that or asks on that, do send them in, because it's something we're starting to form an opinion on it, and how we'll do it. Map on mobile, that's coming very soon. We know that's you can only see the map on mobile in a few places. Actually, you can see everyone's live location on mobile now, which is a benefit. But it's not all in one screen, which we know people want, and we do know that's very important to people. And assigning multiple roles to a single person, we have that all the time, and that is part of a rebuild we're working on. Merrick, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We've really enjoyed the chat today. There's been loads of questions in. And thank you for being so generous with sharing that. Amy will kill me if I don't read out the next live stream. Is with Pennsylvania College of Technology, and it's on the 25th of March. And they're going to talk about how they teach with D4H. They actually use it as part of their teaching program for emergency managers, and how to run an incident command post for an EOC in D4H as part of their academic course. Thanks again, Merrick. We'll talk to you soon. I've really enjoyed that. Thank you so much.